The Pistons have created a buzz this offseason. After getting obliterated by the Bucks in the first round, Detroit and their fans are pulling for a trip back to the postseason. It's definitely in reach, and a bit more likely than Las Vegas thinks it is. This video has been assigned to me with one goal: make my case for what I think the Pistons' record will be and how they'll finish. Before I give my number of wins, we need to go over the several components that make for a prediction. Just throwing out a number is one thing, but I've carved some time to explain my answer. The foundation for predicting a team's record is the roster the team has at their disposal. Detroit has only upgraded from last season's team with significant additions to the roster with the focus of adding depth. The trade that dumped John Lewis to Milwaukee landed the Pistons a new starting small forward, Tony Snell, a 3-and-D guy that allows the Pistons to have size on the wing and the best fan account on Twitter. In free agency, the team picked up Derrick Rose and Tim Frazier to play the second and third string point guard spots. This ensures that someone as horrible as Jose Calderon isn't out there losing games for Detroit. Markieff Morris was also added later in free agency. He's sort of a Swiss Army knife big, and they brought him back to bring the same Detroit mentality his brother had a few years back. There's a training camp battle brewing between Christian Wood and Michael Beasley, with Wood likely to get the nod to play the backup center role. First round draft pick Sekou Doumbouya is being treated like a project, playing only the last game of the Summer League, and I think he's unlikely to crack the rotation at all. And then we have the core guys: Blake, Andre, Reggie, Luke, and Bruce. I've spoken extensively about Luke Kennard on this channel, and I think he's about to have a breakout season. Bruce Brown's offensive wizardry was on display in Vegas, and he looks to be a guard for the future if Detroit moves on from Reggie Jackson. Jackson's been rumored to be dealt this season, but if he plays to the tune of around 18 points a game on good shooting numbers, there's a good chance he finishes his contract. Speaking of contracts, Drummond might be playing in a contract year, as he has a player option after the season, which means he could take another step and be an even better player than he has been. Blake Griffin is still Blake Griffin. He's coming off what we know now was a meniscus tear, but I think he'll be fine. The Pistons added much needed depth to go along with their core guys. Look at these improvements over last season. The next thing to look at when predicting records is to look around the league at what the other teams did over the offseason. The 76ers definitely improved. They added the only guy in the East that can stop Embiid. The Nets and Heat got better, but not significantly until KD comes back next year. There's the Pacers. Everyone thinks they're this great team now, but I'm not sure why. Their star, Victor Oladipo, is out for the first few months of the season. The Raptors lost the irreplaceable Kawhi Leonard, and the Bucks are going to be hurt by losing Malcolm Brogdon more than you think. The Celtics replaced Kyrie and Horford with Kemba and Enes Kanter, which is like buying the Kroger brand instead of the name brand because it's cheaper. Most of the good teams in the East got worse or stayed the same, but the Pistons and 76ers definitely got better. But Detroit might have trouble with the West. Almost every good team in the West got better, especially the Clippers. For the Pistons to have the season that they're capable of, they need to act like a great team and beat lesser opponents. If the Pistons sweep the teams they are definitely better than, teams like the Hornets, then they will be absolutely fine. Another factor that can't be ignored with this Pistons team is staying healthy. Blake Griffin went down at the worst possible time last season. They cannot have that happen again. We also have to factor in that Reggie and D Rose should not play all 82 games with their injury history. We also need to remember that Drummond most likely won't play 80 games again. The staff, specifically Casey and training consultant Arnie Kander, need to decide the best way to get certain players rest days. We saw how load management propelled Kawhi to having the freshest legs in the playoffs, even with the injuries he was dealing with. Blake Griffin does in fact carry the weight of the team on his back, but the Pistons need to be smart of how much of a physical toll they're putting on him. Recently, the Pistons released their schedule. Actually, Hooper did, with 29 different skits. My favorite ones being the Pacers one and this one.
I mean, where should I really even start?
I am a huge Drake fan, but I could not stop laughing when I saw how hard he got trucked. Speaking of the Pacers, they had the coolest schedule release in the league. But that's besides the point. The Pistons have a fairly easy schedule compared to the rest of the league. Still above the average for back-to-backs, but that's just how it goes. The scariest part of the schedule comes in March when the Pistons play just about everyone that's good. A lot of these games are at home, which means Detroit could steal a few, but it's still going to be rough. The Pistons have to win 30 games before March to even have a shot to make the playoffs, in my opinion. This leads us into the moment you've all been waiting for, my prediction. Can I get a drum roll, please? No? Okay. The Pistons will finish the season with a record of 44-38, good for a 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. I have Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Brooklyn, and Toronto each finishing ahead of Detroit. This video is being made before the season, before any potential roster moves that could send the Pistons into contention or a rebuild. A Reggie Jackson trade definitely moves the needle, so watch out for that. My best guess is that the Pistons stay put this year and win at least one playoff game. It's going to take everything I've mentioned to get this team to where the fans want them to go. The roster, the rest of the league, staying healthy, and a favorable schedule. The only hope is that Detroit takes another step in the direction towards contention.